Ta-da!
Hello.
We're done. I'm losing you, Dara.
Yep, you're muted.
You're muted.
No, still not. There it is. All right.
There you go.
There we go. Sorry about that. Little technical difficulties on my end tonight because I am out of pocket again. I am somewhere in West Virginia. So, welcome. Is it going through good? What the heck?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm seeing the countdown right now on my side. So you guys go. I'll catch up.
Oh, no.
So,
Countdown works.
everybody, welcome to the Groomer's Cut, sponsored by the Pet Pro Educators, All Things Paw, the Whole Pet Academy, and the Oily Groomer.
Thank
So,
you.
hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to our wonderful Monday. Welcome.
All
What is
right.
our topic for today?
Today we are going to start with a drum roll for your big news. I had it all hyped up today, so we have, and they're probably out here in our chat space, so we're going to wait for these commenters to come. But everybody who's watching for the first time, welcome. If you are new to our show, please allow StreamYard and Facebook permission so we can see your names in the comments. We are streaming on 10 different platforms tonight, and we will see all the comments. You will only see the comments on your platform you're watching. So we will try to read them and keep up with them. But we'd also like to see your name so we don't just call you Facebook user, which if you want that name, we're happy to call you that too. So tonight, Michelle, drum roll, and I'm not good at it. The only thing I can think is Christmas Vacation.
So, everybody who's been following us knows that we instituted this about a year ago, and a lot of things have happened, a lot of changes. We've started a lot of new projects, and one of the huge ones for me and Dara at the very beginning were to open this school, and also for myself to offer this 2-tier diploma course, as pet esthetician diploma course. And we are just now starting to roll out some master estheticians, and I want to give a huge congratulatory shout out to Ashley Ann and Anna Zerwanka. You have been exemplary students. Unbelievable. So we are having, I have colleagues, and I am so happy, and there are many students behind them climbing through those hoops and going through their things.
We must have easily at least another 10 in your courses
that are coming through that are close. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's so
awesome.
exciting. This is really it's happening. It's
happening. We've got 2 new master pet estheticians, diplomaed ladies and gentlemen. Diplomaed.
And just to let you know what they went through for their master's final, I'll just give you a little tidbit. The final is an APA style paper in APA format on a scientific condition with a dermatological secondary condition, a full soap workup, pictorial layout. Then they have to video everything and demonstrate the correct products on a dog. And then there is a 16-part essay question test, and that's just the final for their masters. And they came through with flying colors. It was amazing. I am so honored and privileged to have taught this course. And I'm so happy that this dream has finally come true. It is a reality. We are rolling it out for real, and these ladies are going to heal so many pets. They are a force of good in the world. I am so happy for you guys. Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. And I think we've got a couple another salon esthetician close.
Yes. It's a 2-tier. It's 2 tiers. So you get a diploma for pet esthetician work in a salon environment and pet esthetician work in a veterinary environment. So that's the difference. One is a lower level for just salons. And then if you want to go the extra mile and do veterinary work or learn about veterinary grooming, then that master's takes you into that information. So yeah, great job, girls.
Great job,
Great
girl.
job.
Oh my gosh, exciting. Ladies, I will get your diplomas out and printed as soon as I get home on Monday. So I want to make sure I do that since they are the first two, and we'll do a big ceremony. I think we should do a big ceremony next week for them.
I think so too. They might.
Yeah, we'll do a live one with them.
Yeah.
How's that? And we'll pretend like I'm handing them diplomas over.
I know, because we're so far apart.
I know. They can hear scores. All right. So that is the main. That is so wonderful. Next, I know there's been a lot of chatter with Bobby and everything that's going on with the Master Groomer Council also.
Yeah.
That is coming up, which is very important on Sunday for voters. And that is, if you want to step in on that right now, Michelle, and talk about that, because I think that's a big part coming in.
This is another huge thing that we're doing. So we have, a while back, we founded the Master Groomer Council of Best Practices, where all groomers and master groomers come together and discuss the protocols for best practices. We wanted to come together, just a group of actual groomers and no other person outside of our actual industry, and decide what it is that we feel as educated and continuing to be educated groomers in our field. What exactly was best practices? I know there's been work done on the foundation, and that's been published, but there's nobody that's stepping up and saying, you know what is, if you have the highest protocols or the highest best practices, actual best practices, agreed upon by a collective of groomers talking about the hard issues. We are very near, we are a week away from voting on the first verbiage that will then be printable and orderable from Amazon, and it will be available to clients and groomers. We're bouncing back and forth on having a professional grooming edition and then one geared toward clients, but we really haven't talked about that. We really haven't voted on that. What I do want to say is, if you are interested in voting, you must have a master certification of something. Master feline, master groomer, master esthetician, master of something, to qualify for voting rights. However, to discuss the verbiage that goes into the booklet, it could be anybody. But we do encourage continuing education. We do encourage certification. Over licensing, because I think that will make a safer, more knowledgeable groomer. And we do advocate that there is at least one master groomer or almost master groomer in every salon. And that's our goal, and we have a lot of work to do still. But if you are interested in voting, please send me your email with a copy of your certificate, your master certificate, so that I can give you a special invitation, because it's going to be in-house. It's going to go quickly. We're going to read through the verbiage. We're going to vote on the blocks of information or veto blocks of information. And whatever we come up at the end of that meeting is going to print as our first edition. And as I said before, it's a living document. So as we get new science, as we have more discussions, we may modify it. We may go back and change a paragraph or a wording or some verbiage to make it more modern and updated. But this is going to be our council that we decide what is good for our industry collectively. So.
Well, with that said, Bobby and I had a phone call today for a few minutes, and before we vote, I will be putting up the scaffolding for the feline section.
Absolutely wonderful. Perfect. Yeah.
So
we're also going to have, I think Angie Coates is going to also submit like a small animal section as well. Rabbits, guinea pigs.
Good. Yeah.
Cats,
So
just all those things will eventually be covered. So there'll be addendums to each edition.
Right.
But we're starting with canine simply because that's, a lot of us, we know a lot about that, and the information is out there. We just haven't assembled it and talked about it. So, but we're getting ready for our first thing, and that's also probably about a year old. I don't even remember when we started that. It's a little younger than our show.
I was
so.
going to say, I think that kind of started in October. I think we start September and October is when those started rolling out.
Yeah. So, but it's
so
gonna be amazing.
Kim has asked, after that document is created, how can we get a copy? It'll be published on Amazon, so you'll be able to order it from Amazon.
And we'll post it in every platform that we have, so fear not. We want this information to be available to the client ultimately, because I believe in my heart that if the clients are better informed, they will ask better questions. They'll look for a better groomer. They'll look for people who are working safely and have a clean salon that are using best practices. So that means something. And I think that if the clients know what best practices are, then they could make better decisions. So
how can we, just thinking out loud, I know like the IPG and the ISCC give out logos and stuff. How can we get our logo so that people that are part of it, or when they order the book, they get a JPEG maybe to print the logo so they can use that in their advertising?
Well, we are certainly working on that, and because this is our first printing, we wanted the ability for the council to pay for any extras itself. So one of the products that we are putting forth will be the booklet itself. I don't want to be able to charge any dues. It's a labor of love. We're all equal. It's a round table. But if we have this, it's going to be $5 to $10 for the best practices.
The book. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But
as soon as we start, I would like to start selling those first, and then those will pay for those labels. So that will. But yes, we will be developing a window cling so that you can put it on your window.
Yes. Okay.
So that people know, just like an AHA sticker or a best practice or an IPG sticker. I would like to have something like that so you can say, hey, we observe best practices here, or close proximity. So.
Okay. Perfect. That sounds fantastic. What a great year.
I know, it's been amazing.
We've had a really good year. I think we just got, and I just saw Jennifer's that she might not make it tonight for this final one. So for the coats, and I know we were going to be talking about, was it silky coats tonight?
I think so.
Do you guys want to go with that?
We can talk about silky coats.
Yeah, we can talk. Anybody want anything else to talk about? But we can talk about silky coats.
Yeah, you know what, if there are questions that are general that are not on topic, I would be happy to take any questions that you have on anything grooming related or business grooming related. Dara is willing. Feline related or oil related. Melissa can absolutely answer questions.
Massage related for those of you that have taken the massage stuff that I've had out there. So, whatever.
Right. You guys are going to crack up because silky coats simply need a really good shampoo that cleanses really well and to be lightly re-oiled. It's that simple.
It's that simple. Maybe we did talk about that. Oh, no. Tonight we were going to talk about hurting and working.
Oh, and that was Jennifer.
Yes, those are her grooves. That's right.
I totally think we should put that off until she could be here for that.
Yeah, and let her recap.
Because that is her passion.
It is.
I'm going to step down and save that topic for her. So
okay, all right, we'll do that. So anybody out there in our audience, please throw us. We've got quite a lot of people watching tonight, so throw us some topics out there that you want or questions you want us to go over, and we'll chit chat here for a minute. But so how is everything else going? We've got our classes up.
I spent all day today. I learned a very valuable lesson. Angie helped me the other day because I was trying to get my stuff up on Teachable. Remember, Dara, we couldn't find it. And
we couldn't find it.
It was so lost, and I did it so long ago, and I thought it was all good to go. Well, guess what? I'm not the most technologically advanced woman. And so I did it all wrong. And so Angie was nice enough to walk me through everything. And so today I spent the day getting all my videos made on the intro to feline. for
yes,
the
that's a
Master
new.
of Holistic Arts
Yep.
diploma. So that one will get uploaded tomorrow. And then I have given myself a schedule to get the level 100 feline taped like that in video format as well.
Okay.
And so I'll get that up, and then the ball's rolling, because then I have massage ready to go. I have half of the aromatherapy ready to go.
Mhm.
So now that I know what I'm doing,
Yeah.
I just had no idea that I had to do them in video format.
Perfect. So next week, you and I will get together when I get home. I have one advanced. I actually have one Master Advanced Groomer student graduating on Wednesday next week. So she's going to be wrapping up. So once I'm done getting her diplomaed and done and on her way, I will be able to start focusing on that. And I just want to do a shout out to Angie too, because we don't do a lot. We talk a lot about you, Angie, but Angie has 2 courses with us.
Yeah.
One is probably one of the best salon sanitation classes. 4.5 hours. It's a state certificate course. It's wonderful, Angie. Everybody who takes it is loving it, and
thorough.
Very much so. Yeah.
Thorough.
And her other one that's a little that's flying under the radar a little bit, but I think because we are a female-dominated industry, and a lot of us work alone at night, and personal safety. If you know Angie, she is a retired police officer, and this is right up her alley. It's a great course. I've had a couple students take it now, and actually my graduate next week, her mother called me, and she had done and watched the course with her daughter, she was a 20-year-old, so younger daughter, but her mother had watched the class with her and called and said, "Thank you so much for pushing her to that class. That gave her some of the most insightful self-awareness that could happen." So it's a great class too. Cat Smart out there. Biters and nippers. You know what? I read that as bitters and nippers, and I was like, bitters? What kind of cocktail are we talking about tonight?
What kind of delicious bitters are we adding to the cocktail?
I know. My head
with some bitters in it.
Bitters and nippers. I'm like, we're talking airplane cocktails here. Okay, so Michelle, that's kind of your thing. You're good with the behavior and
Melissa also, though.
And yes, I know you both are.
She's been handling gently for a long time. I mean, she comes from the same place that I do. Melissa and I are sisters from another mother. She's so deep and so intense, and one of the most gentle and loving people that I have ever met on this planet. She's amazing. So yeah, she's got really good techniques for cats as well. I am not as skilled with cat handling as I am with canine handling. But it's gentle, but it is not at that level, because I just don't do so many. But as far as biters and nippers, is it aggression or fear? To me, it doesn't matter, but you just approach it in the same way. Calm, direct, don't push them past their limits, and listen to them when they growl or look at you. Listen to their body language, because gaining trust means paying attention to their needs. And if they're communicating that they're uncomfortable and you ignore that and try to push through, then you're exacerbating their fear or their aggression. So trust is formed by respecting their body. I think that's the first rule. I call it
accountability.
Yeah.
Be accountable for your actions and be accountable for standing in that gap between the animal being unable to verbally communicate what it's feeling. And so, you really need to make sure that, we have to be a master of a whole bunch of things all at once. When you're grooming a dog or a cat, you've got all these spinning plates. And so you cannot, we've talked about this before, about being hyper focused on things. And so you cannot be so hyper focused on that haircut that you're just ignoring everything else that's going on with that animal. Right. And by the time they start to bite or nip at you or get aggressive, they've generally given you lots of signs
that you've ignored.
that you've ignored because you're so hyper focused on, that perfect haircut that you're not so hyper focused on, those picking up on those things, whether it's a cat or a dog. Cats are less likely to give you as much warning. They might do a one tail thump and then they're like, oh, sorry, stupid, but I'm biting you now. Whereas a dog generally has a much broader range of, allowing things. Yeah. Cats generally already are pissed off at you that they had to leave the comfort of their home. So.
And you're touching them.
Yes, exactly. Without them being like, you get 2 minutes and now you're allowed to do, pet me right here and that's it.
Only, right.
Yes.
And then die.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the truth, though. I mean, we laugh about it, but if you don't understand that about cats and dogs, and I've spent all day today recording all this stuff and going over all this information again. And that's one of the things is that I've worked with so many groomers that are like, oh yeah, I groom cats. I can get a cat in and out of here in an hour. Yeah. And it's just, they just use the same techniques and the same handling that they would on a canine. And then they don't understand why that cat's so traumatized.
Yeah.
And so I just never, ever, ever, like Michelle, never ever thought my job was to wrestle or manhandle or force an animal into getting anything done. If it gets to that point, then that's why they have sedation.
Right.
And under veterinary's care, under a veterinarian's eye, in case of anything happening, that's not our job.
Right. There are people that are afraid to go to the dentist or have doctor procedures or things like that they actually do have services to sedate them before they go and get this, so it lessens their anxiety. Now, we can do that with dogs too. Yeah, absolutely. They are among us. But there are dogs that if you simply stop the noise of all the conversations and this and that and the other, and look at the animal in the face that you're working with, put yourself in their position. They don't want to be there. They don't care if their hair's dirty or not, or if they look good or not. They care if they're loved. So if you can love them through the process, that's even better. That means you're giving them respect and knowing their boundaries. They have boundaries. If you try to push them through it, I am not one to say don't use muzzles. But in my practice, I don't use muzzles very often. I can count still on 2 hands how many times I've muzzled a dog in my career. Sometimes that needs to be done. I often will lay a towel on the top of the nose, and sometimes that calms a dog down because it's some type of barrier. And they look at you like, I can't help it, but I'm going to bite you. I'm going to lick you to death while you're not doing the mean thing, but I'm going to bite you if you try it. And that's just fear. And once you can work through that fear, once you can convince the client that maybe the haircut isn't so perfect that time, and maybe they'll come in a week later and you'll try and do the other half, or you'll work on feet and do it a la carte. That's the best way to approach something like that. It's like being a barber for children.
Yes.
Who've never had their hair cut, and they're scared and it's weird and they're having their hair cut off and then they see it on the ground. That who knows what's going through their little minds, but you have to gain trust. You just can't put a thing around a little child's neck, and say, no, you're getting a haircut today, and then make them do it. That's just not how it's done. And it's no different for me anyway when I groom dogs.
And I use muzzles. I'll use the cat muzzles, the ones that look like the ones that they put on horses, the mesh. So I don't particularly care for the big, heavy plastic ones. I like to keep things
balls. What are
Yeah,
those?
those balls, and they serve a purpose. They're just not my
air something.
Yeah, the air muzzles, and
Air
I mean
muzzles,
they're great if that's what you prefer to use. I just don't prefer to, that's just not my personal preference, but I totally see the purpose in them.
Yes.
But I like the muzzles that you can use on like the brachycephalic dogs, just those little mesh ones with a little Velcro. It just sometimes makes things a little less scary, especially to a feline, because once they get into that fear mode, it's very hard to de-escalate that.
Especially on cats.
Right, especially on felines. It's so hard to bring them down, from up here and now get them back down here. No, it might take days, so and with dogs, my personal preference has always been to use a muzzle that does not evoke energy of like I'm in control of you. That's why I always, and Michelle will know, as soon as I say this, I absolutely love the duck bill ones and the ones that look like a little duck and that they, and it looks cute on them. I'm not mad at you.
So it changes your perception of how you're treating the animal. Instead of, okay, I'm dealing with Hannibal. No, I'm dealing with somebody who's got a cute little duck or bunny or pig nose.
Yep. And it does. And it reduces we're very visual creatures. Whereas puppies are born and kittens are born blind and deaf. So those are the very last senses for them to develop. Mm-hmm. For us, our eyes are the very first things that work. Mm-hmm. Our nose and our ears, those senses come later for us as in our infancy. So when we try and humanize them and make them think that they're going to react like a human would react, or like take a cat and expect it to act like a dog, those, or vice versa, those are things that are going to be detrimental to your grooming style because it's not going to work. So if you use things like those little duck bill muzzles, or I have a mesh cat muzzle that I took a paint pen and gave it lipstick. And I used to have one that had the little tassels on it, like from her, had the face, like a face mask that I bought it at a pet show that had the little tassels on it from Breakfast at Tiffany's, the face mask that she wears with the little gold tassels. And I had a cat one like that. and my cat customers, they appreciated the levity of it. Mm-hmm. It reduces that muzzle from being something like, I'm going to control you, to, oh, you look cute, just relax, I'm not going to hurt you. Right. And, it changes your energy, which interacts with that animal. Mm-hmm. So those things are great. I mean, no, if you have a chow on the table that wants to bite your face off, no duck muzzle is going to change that. Mm-hmm. That's an aggression issue. But if you have something that's on your table that is just trying to bite you out of fear because it's afraid and it hasn't been groomed often enough, and there's trust issues, so you put that on, you do whatever you need to get done immediately, and then you take that off right away. Mm-hmm. And you move on to things that aren't as scary. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It should always be an exercise in trust.
Right. And any tool you use should be used properly. And anything, even a towel that you wrap them in, can be misused. It can suffocate them or choke them, or they can bite it and swallow some of it. I mean, so you have to take care with however you're comfortable with the techniques that you use. Then you choose the tools that are most acceptable and comfortable for you to keep you and your pet that you're working on safe. That is the number one thing. Now, we are proponents of not using a muzzle if you don't absolutely have to.
Right.
But if you absolutely have to, absolutely use a muzzle. Keep yourself safe. Use gloves with kitties if you have to. Some cats are that afraid and they're deadly. So, I mean, yeah, absolutely keep yourself safe. Don't think that you're going to be a hero and
No.
never use a
Yeah.
muzzle again. I will reach for a muzzle on certain instances. So don't
And
feel
it's not
ashamed. You're
worth
not wrong.
right.
Right.
It's not worth the risking the injury to yourself.
Correct.
Or I used to groom a cat, Rudy. I was just downloading videos of me grooming some of my felines to use for the programs for, at the whole pet grooming academy for the feline program. And I was rewatching some of the videos, and Rudy, I could do with, like whatever. He was just so great. And then all of a sudden, when he's had enough, he would like break skin, bite you and swat at you and just get mean and nasty. So even though I know what I can and cannot get away with him, I watch these videos and I see myself and I'm like, why did I not have my Kevlar sleeves on? Like I see myself flinching, like pulling myself away because he almost got me. And I thought, that's just so silly, because we tend to ego takes over.
Yeah.
And we want to be in that I am the groomer instead of being, what? I need to
The
protect
caregiver.
myself. Yep, the caregiver. And that's kind of erased from our job title sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So use what you can. I know they always say don't use restraints on felines, never put a loop on them. I use loops. I never put it around their throat, but I will use it around their midsection of their body,
or a figure 8 style.
Figure 8, or the what I call the beauty sash, how it goes under. It all depends on the individual animal. I mean, there are some that I don't use anything on, but I have to groom them in their crate. I take the top of the crate off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they love to stay in their
I've
box.
done that a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
They like to stay in their box. My favorite, when owners bring in the ones that zip and lay flat, and then they still think they're in their
inside. Yeah.
It just unzips all the way around, and then they're like,
and lays
I'm
flat.
still here.
And another good tool to use that was introduced to me, I mean, I knew it was in the market, but I really bought it because of Angie Coates, and it's the groomer's wall. Now, unless you have a table that's against, or you groom on a counter or a bench, I call them benches, like a workbench. The groomer's wall makes it so you're grooming on a bench or a counter, and it reduces the amount of space they have to get away from you, so you're right there with them. And sometimes that makes them feel safer because you're not reaching for them. You're just has a little comfy space and everything's real tight knit. It is wonderful, and thank you, Angie.
So how many do you have at your shop?
We just have one.
Just one, and it's mobile.
Yeah, you clamp it on and off so easy. It takes 2 seconds. Yeah. It is a little heavy and bulky. I've got the large 48-inch one or the 46-inch one. It is bulky. It is that and heavy. But once you clamp it down, if you just have a corner that you can lean it into so that it can be put on anybody's table should they need it, if they have an old dog or a cat or one that's moving all around, that's an amazing tool. And I did not think that it would be as useful as it is, and I have used it on a regular basis now. So
well, they lean against it too a lot of times, so it has to be a solid piece. It can't be something flimsy. So, but yeah, that's a great tool. I mean, there's a lot. I used the trach saver when I was in New Hampshire with you guys, Dara, and Chrissy had brought that. And I mean, there are so many amazing products out there.
The name of it is the Groomer's Wall, and they also actually make the trach saver.
Oh, do they? Okay.
It's the same company, yeah.
So I mean, there's lots of really, really good products out there that are designed by people in the industry that are looking for ways. And for some reason, especially cats, like Dara was saying, even though you unzip the carrier, they think they're still inside of it. Even though it's laying flat. It drives me crazy when I see groomers grooming small animals on enormous tables, or enormous spaces. And the smaller the animal, the more they feel safe in a smaller area. So when you have these big giant tables that are made for grooming large breed dogs and giant breed dogs, and you're doing felines on them, or I always laugh when, we have students when I'm either at the tech school and they have them on the big table and they've got this little chihuahua, or something tiny, and it's on this big giant table, and the whole time they're chasing this dog around the table. They're like, the dog goes as far as that loop will let them go, to get away from the action. And the cats will do the same thing. They'll try and go as far away from you. So, if you don't have the groomer's wall, use, those cardboard cutout things that you used to do at the science fair, that they come pre-folded, they're thick. Stand those up on your table and partition your table.
Or just move your table against the
wall. Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. Especially
or do like we have. We've got 4 different size tables at my shop.
Exactly.
You can just
got a little tiny one for little bitty tiny guys.
Yeah, we've got the small, we've got a medium, and the large, and all the stations are the same. So there's no reason to not shuffle from station depending on what size you're grooming.
I have a really cool little rotating. It's it goes around. It's like a lazy Susan.
Oh, the lazy
Susan. I have a real small one with its own arm, and it's on a base, and it sits on my bigger table. And I use that for puppies. Some cats, they like the fact that they're just on that little round base. So and small breeds tend to do better on those. So I mean, it's trial and error. It's not going to work for every single pet.
Absolutely.
But it's about creating, trusting space.
Yeah. Good times.
What else you got out there?
I know. I was like, okay, what's next? Come on. Bring it on. Give us a challenge, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Absolutely. Or we could go back to bitters and nips.
We can go back to bitters and nips. Well, Lee just made me a microcosmo.
Yeah, that's a microcosmo.
Yes. Just a tiny one before we go to dinner.
I'm on water.
Okay, so Kat said I have found placing a ring.
Oh, just a little round rug on a table.
A rug.
Yeah.
It gives them a little target to sit on, and they feel like they're like cats like to be in a circle. If you make a taped circle,
that's a good idea.
For some reason, it gives them the perception that it's a cozier place.
Yeah.
That's an excellent idea, Kat.
And rugs work really well too, because it makes them feel like they're not as off balance, like their feet. Dogs and cats. Some dogs, you put them on the table, and as soon as they get on the table, they're like, they don't know where to put their feet. They just feel like it's a strange surface.
Yeah.
So,
or they smell bad. They get those little dogs and the cats, and they're scrunched down, and all those smells coming off the table too. I know I had a dachshund. She wouldn't do her training classes and do any of her tricks until I put the carpet down for them.
Right. It's like anything else. I think that they have personalities like we do.
Yes. Absolutely.
And there are some that are like me, high drama, just extra. We're always extra. And so
that's a good way of putting it. I like that.
And some are, just so easygoing and laid back. And, how come you can cut the nails on one and it's no big deal? And then another one, you touch their foot and they're screaming. So we have to get out of the assembly line mindset.
Yes, definitely. And there's a lot of people out there that say, well, if I slow down, I won't make as much money. Raise your prices.
Yeah.
Raise your prices.
Yeah.
Raise your prices. Yes. It takes a lot of knowledge to be a groomer. And especially if you are a good groomer, that takes a lot of skill, different skill sets, lots of knowledge in different weird areas that you wouldn't think of until you get into it. They pay you for your experience and your skill as well as your time. So it's not like, okay, it's a minute a hair, a minute a scissor snip. There goes 50 cents. There goes, price it out properly for your area, your demographic, and your salon and your expenses so that you know
Mm-hmm.
what your profit should be, and offer a great service. A great service will keep them coming back, paying top dollar, and
Yep.
tipping you as well.
Yep.
Right.
Slow down. Yes. Work smarter, not harder.
Yes.
You,
And
I'd
those deal clients are going to always shop around. So
Yes.
Yep.
don't pay them any mind. They're not, and I always
Yeah.
used to say that they're not that's not my customer.
Mhm. I'd much rather do 6 Shih Tzus at $60 to $80 than do 20 Shih Tzus for $35 a piece.
Right.
And if you really start thinking
Yeah.
about that, you could turn out some really beautiful dogs. Their minds and spirits are not broken. Their parents are very happy to pay the money to get that type of service. Those other ones that are just, well, I paid at $20 at that other salon, and I'm like, well, that's a bargain. You should go back there.
Why are you in my lobby?
Yeah, I won't. I'm like, gosh, that's a bar. Yeah, that's a great price. You
Mhm.
should go back there. And she's like, well, I didn't like the way she did it. And I'm like,
Right.
That's why I'm more. Because I'm worth the money that I charge. Absolutely.
And if you're secure in that, if you present yourself as a professional, you'll be able to command a higher price. But
Yes.
if you're not doing continuing education and you're not keeping up with what's going on in the industry and you're not moving and growing, then you're going to be stuck at those $35 dogs and having to do them, a million of them to, just make your base pay.
Mhm. And for those of you who don't really think that education is important, or it doesn't really apply to you because you're just fine and you're just fine with the money that you're making, imagine that you can be better. I mean, who
Right,
doesn't want to
yeah.
be better? It really astounds me that there really are groomers out there that are like, I'm fine. I'm in a rut and I'm fine with where I am. If I change, my clients will be upset or whatever. And, if that's you, that's fine. That's fine. The low paying clients will find you. But to keep
Yeah,
yourself
they
on a
will.
level playing field with groomers that are doing their due diligence and are doing continuing education, you're going to find yourself outgunned for sure. All your competition will have better techniques, better products, better knowledge to offer, better services if you don't grow. So I encourage everyone to grow. Take a class. Change something after grooming 15, 20 years. Change it up a little bit. There's new stuff out there. There's so much more than there used to be. It's mind-boggling. I can't believe how many new products, new techniques, and new things pop up all the time that I've never heard of. It's crazy. So, I mean, just get informed. It will help you immensely. And it might perk you up if you're in a rut and you're bored and you're just going through the motions. Get excited about grooming again. Get your passion back. Get a new tool or learn a new class or a new technique or a new breed trim. Take a video course of someone that you idolize and learn how to do their signature trim. Something a little bit different than what you're doing now. Yeah, Lisa, never stop learning. Never stop it.
Yeah.
Never
Know
stop.
who you are also.
Catherine says, I like my clients to get upset at least once every year. It keeps us all on our toes.
Right.
That is
Perfect.
true.
Yeah.
Well, and if they're not telling you, then
Yes.
you don't know. How do you fix it?
That's the hardest thing. When people left and you don't understand why, and then you might run into them or see them, or another groomer that grooms their dogs, and then they tell you, oh, they weren't happy with the haircut, or well, they never said anything. So always make sure that you take the time to put that customer service out there and ask when they pick up, is everything okay? Or I used to text a couple days after my haircuts and just be like, especially if it was somebody that I really kind of felt like I was unsure if they liked it, those ones that pick up and they're like, thank you, and they leave and they don't give you any feedback. I'll send a quick text message or leave a quick voicemail. Hey, just checking in. How's everything looking? Did you see anything that wasn't right? And, give it 24 hours or 48 hours. Then if they come back or if they go somewhere else, you can feel like you actually did due diligence to try and, you know, retain your clientele.
Right.
That's always tough when they leave and you don't have any idea why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Giving a little feedback always helps you improve. Even if they don't come back, if you can respectfully ask for feedback and say, you know what, you never, you know, you just stopped coming to me and I just want to know why. And they'll say, well, and they'll tell you, I didn't want to hurt your feelings or whatever. But I'm like, well, if you don't ever tell me, I'll never know. So how can I get better? I want to get better.
That's why cold calling is so wonderful. And that's why corporates make you do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
In the downtime. So, well, next month, we're continuing on with feline.
Okay. Well, next month we're going to start with the working and herding class.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. So I'm going to combine because June is 5 weeks. Mm-hmm. So I think what we can do is our first week, since we're not next week,
right,
because of the holiday, we'll recap the Master Groomer Council and what you guys, how that all goes down. Mm-hmm. And then we'll do the herding and, what's cold? We'll get to that. Then we'll go into the cats, into the felines, and start the rest of the month in felines.
Perfect.
Okay.
So that way we'll give Jennifer her chance. We'll do the council because that's going to be a big. I think that's going to take up the majority of our next live streaming. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. I have been talking straight for the last 2 days, and it's catching up with me.
Do you want to address Kat's question?
What is cold calling? That is when you go through your records and you pull up all those people you haven't seen in 4 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year. And hey, just checking in. We haven't seen you. Just making sure Fluffy's okay. So, yep, cold calling. Telemarketers, what we all hate. But it is a way of learning what you're doing not so great or getting some feedback. Because sometimes they'll be like, well, I didn't come back because, and like you said, I didn't want to hurt your feelings, but your price was too high. But, you know, and then
9 times out of 10, you know why they didn't come back. Maybe you messed up on the haircut, or the money was weird, or for whatever reason. I've had somebody call back much later and say, you know what, I heard somebody yelling at a dog. And in my loud shop, we're probably yelling. We're not yelling directly at a dog, but sometimes it gets loud and you got to shout. But in her perception, she heard yelling. It was indistinct, and she couldn't see it or see that it was at her dog. She just heard a raised voice. And that really concerned her. And I ended up actually winning her back because I'm like, well, you know, it is really loud here. And I told her I'm a loud person. She's like, well, it wasn't you. And I'm like, but you know what? I'm loud. So I understand people who are loud, and it's really loud in here. So I invited her back during our morning drying session because everybody gets their first dog at 8 o'clock or whatever. And then by 9 o'clock, every dryer in the whole place is going. And I invited her back to see that. And I talked to her with the dryers going. So we both were yelling. She goes, oh, I get it now. I'm like, absolutely. And I gave her a tour. I'm like, there's hair everywhere, you know, but everybody's happy. Everybody's comfortable. Everybody's got a nice clean towel. Everybody's offered water. So, I mean, so it just took that little bit of something, you know, to convince her that it was okay again. So sometimes their perception is weird. You know, it's just
a lot
weird.
of them have no idea what we do and how we do it.
Right. Yeah, that is true. And if you have windows and they see something that they misconstrue as something that we do all the time. Yep. All right. Jennifer just popped on. I'm going to add her in really quick and just tell her we're kind of wrapping up and what's going on.
Hi, Precious.
Hi,
Jen.
Hey. Oh, she's not all the way with us.
Yeah, she's
not all the way
there.
Her connection's not the best.
It could be mine too, but mine has been pretty steady since we've gotten going. It might be hers.
Poor
She
Jennifer.
looks like a she looks like a hardworking lady right there.
Yeah, she does.
She's like, listen.
Yeah, I'm done.
Don't worry, Jennifer. We're gonna get you to do your herding group
Yes.
next week.
If you can hear us.
I know.
Yeah, 2 weeks, because next week is going to be a busy week for you guys.
Yes.
On the Master Groomer Council, that is. I am not on that as a voter, so but I don't think we're going to make her. I think she's frozen.
Yeah.
So well, I think we're good for the night unless there's anything else. We did good. We kept it together. Yeah, and we'll get back on it. So herding and the Master Groomer Council, and then we'll go into the felines.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
Great. All right, ladies.
Freshened up from recording all the feline stuff.
Yay.
Yeah.
That's good. Then I'll have to get with you on putting mine up. So she's not there. So all right. Well, you guys have a great night. Thank you everyone for joining us. Because I'm not sure my connection is unstable. I'm not going to do our
Ending.
ending tonight just in case. So,
and just to remind everybody, there won't be a groomer's cut on Memorial Day weekend next week.
Yeah.
But we will the following week resume on Mondays, and we'll talk about what we voted on.
Yep.
On the Groomers Council. So.
All right. Well, everyone have a great week. Happy grooming. Have a great holiday weekend, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
We love you. Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye.